Jew, Hebrew, Israelite. Most people treat these words as interchangeable, but the Bible doesn't. Each one entered history at a different moment, for a different reason, tied to a different man. Get this wrong, and passages of Scripture stop making sense. Get it right, and centuries of biblical history click into place. So which word applies when? Let's untangle this properly. The story starts with Abraham. Genesis calls him Abram the Hebrew, the first time that word appears in Scripture. It comes from Eber, or an old word meaning one who crosses over. Abraham had just crossed the Euphrates, leaving his homeland at God's command, stepping into a land he'd never seen. Hebrew wasn't a nationality yet. It was a description, the man who crossed over. Abraham had a son, Isaac. Isaac had a son, Jacob. And it's Jacob where our second word is born. This family wasn't a nation yet, just tents, herds, and a promise from God they'd become something enormous. Everything was about to change on a lonely riverbank at night, in a wrestling match Jacob could never forget. That night, a mysterious figure wrestled with Jacob until daybreak. Jacob refused to let go, demanding a blessing. He got one, but not the one he expected. The figure renamed him Israel, meaning one who struggles with God. From this man came 12 sons, and those sons became 12 tribes. Those tribes are what the Bible means by Israelites. Israel's 12 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, and the rest, each became head of a tribe, together forming the nation of Israel. So Israelites means descendants of Jacob through any of his 12 sons. Hebrew was broader, tracing to Abraham. Israelite was narrower, tracing through Jacob's bloodline. A third word is coming next, starting with only one of those tribes. Centuries later, the United Kingdom of Israel split in two after Solomon's reign. 10 tribes formed the northern kingdom, still called Israel, while Judah and Benjamin formed the southern kingdom of Judah. Two kingdoms, one shared ancestry, now politically divided. This split matters. It determines which tribes survive the next disaster and which nearly vanish from history. In 722 BC, Assyria conquered the northern kingdom and deported its 10 tribes. Scattered and intermarried, they largely lost their distinct identity, becoming what history calls the 10 lost tribes. Only Judah remained intact, along with Benjamin and the priestly tribe of Levi. From here on, nearly everyone with a clear tribal identity belonged to Judah. About 136 years later, Judah fell too, this time to Babylon. But something different happened. Rather than scattering and vanishing, Judah's exiles stayed together as a distinct community, holding on to their identity, customs, and faith. It's here, among these Babylonian exiles, that our third word takes shape. Yehudim, Jews. Yehudim simply meant people of Judah. At first, just a regional label, like calling someone a Texan. But because Judah's exiles were the ones who returned and preserved their faith, the name stuck to the whole surviving people, regardless of their original tribe. Over time, Jew stopped meaning just Judah's tribe. It meant the whole covenant people who remained. Decades later, Persia conquered Babylon, and King Cyrus allowed the exiles to return home. Ezra and Nehemiah led that return, rebuilding Jerusalem's walls and temple. These returning exiles were now consistently called Jews throughout the text. Ezra and Nehemiah use the term repeatedly. This is the moment the word fully crystallizes into what we recognize today. Here's the clearest way to hold all three together. Hebrew is the oldest, broadest term. Abraham crossing the river, an ancestral label. Israelite means descendants of Jacob through any of his 12 sons, a covenant label. Jew narrows further, originally meaning someone from Judah, later becoming the term for the whole surviving covenant people after the exile. Some assume these are just interchangeable synonyms invented by translators, but the biblical text is precise. Each word appears at a specific historical turning point. Abraham is never called an Israelite because Israel didn't exist yet. The northern tribes are never called Jews in earlier books because that word hadn't been coined. Scripture's own timeline confirms these words were never meant to be identical. A common question: if the 10 northern tribes vanished after Assyria's conquest, did most Israelites simply disappear from history? In one sense, yes. Their tribal identities were lost through intermarriage and displacement, though their descendants didn't cease to exist. Judah's descendants, meanwhile, preserved a continuous, identifiable line all the way to today, exactly why Jew became the lasting term, while other tribal names faded. Why did Judah's identity survive when the others didn't? Partly geography. Babylon kept its exiles more concentrated than Assyria did. Partly faith. Exiles under Ezra and Nehemiah deliberately recommitted to distinct practice, intermarriage restrictions, and Sabbath observance to preserve their identity. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice by real people to hold on to who they were. Knowing this changes how certain passages read. When Paul calls himself a Hebrew of Hebrews, he's pointing to ancestral lineage back to Abraham. When the prophets address all Israel, they mean the full 12-tribe covenant nation, including the scattered north. When the Gospels mention the Jews, they mean the Judah-descended community of that era. Same family, 3 precise angles. Think of it as 3 chapters of one family story. Hebrew is the opening chapter, a man crossing a river in faith. Israelite is the middle chapter, a struggling family growing into a nation. Jew is the closing chapter, a remnant that endured exile and carried the story forward. Different words, same unbroken thread, running from Abraham to today. This isn't just a vocabulary lesson. Behind every biblical term is a real historical moment, with real people making real choices under real pressure. Abraham's crossing, Jacob's wrestling, Judah's survival through exile. These aren't abstract labels invented for convenience. They're scars and victories carried forward in a single word each time Scripture uses it. So, the next time you read Hebrew, Israelite, or Jew in Scripture, you'll know exactly which chapter of the story you're standing in. Not interchangeable labels, but 3 distinct milestones in one continuous covenant history. A family that crossed a river, wrestled with God, split apart, and still found a way to endure. This story didn't end with Ezra and Nehemiah. It's still carried today by anyone tracing their identity through this same unbroken thread, through faith, ancestry, covenant. Hebrew, Israelite, Jew, 3 names for a people tested, scattered, and preserved against every expectation. The same God who kept that story alive for thousands of years is still writing the next chapter. So now you know. Hebrew, Israelite, and Jew each tell a different part of the same family story. I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 moments, Abraham's crossing, Jacob's wrestling, or Judah's exile, surprised you most? Drop it in the comments, and it might shape the next video. If this helped you see Scripture more clearly today, subscribe. We're just getting started.